In this video, we discuss why retirees, for the most part, should care a lot less about other people's opinions than just about any other group of people. Coming up next on Holy Schmidt.
Holy Schmidt!
We all care to some degree or another what other people think about us. That's just the nature of being human. We want to be accepted into the group that we consider our peers. We want to be in the club. And in order to be in the club, we need to sometimes say and do things that run contrary to what we actually believe. But retirees are in a unique position where oftentimes they don't need to do that because of their station in life. And the fact is, by caring less, maybe even a lot less about what other people think in retirement, you have greater freedom. Freedom to do what you want to do when you want to do it. And frankly, that is the quintessential aspect of retirement that people look for. That's the light on the hill. Greater freedom means that you can now experience personal growth that you couldn't experience before because there were people that you had to appease that no longer are in your life. To some degree, a retiree is liberated from social expectations. Not with everything, hear me here, but with many things, you're liberated from social expectations. For example, you don't necessarily need to bring out your credit card every time you sit down for dinner with the group. And you have freed up mental space because you're not constantly thinking about what you should say or what you shouldn't say or when to be where. Because as long as you have a decent moral compass, 9 times out of 10, that will get you to where you need to go. The next point is, frankly, you have more life experience than others, and oftentimes in the situations in the past, you had to bite your tongue because, well, it wasn't the appropriate thing to say. Usually in a work environment, sometimes in a social environment, but it wasn't the right thing to say. I'll give you a good example. Have you ever had the experience, if you're a parent, you probably have, where somebody you care about comes to you and they talk about a decision that they've made, which is just the wrong decision. And you know it's the wrong decision, and so you try to guide them to the right outcome. Usually it involves a career choice or a partner of some sort or some type of activity or behavior that is just socially unacceptable or morally unacceptable or some combination of things that are just unacceptable. They say to you, in this case, Dad, you've got it all wrong, you don't know what you're talking about, and they proceed to do the thing that you told them not to do, or you recommended that they don't do. Years go by and they come to you and they remember that event. Maybe even you forgot, but they remember the event and they say to you, you know what? You were right. I am now older, wiser. I might have kids of my own and I'm going through something similar and I see the thing that you saw before. Now, because you're in this position, you can do things like take additional risks because you can weigh the risks and rewards better than other people. You can travel to some uncommon places because, frankly, if you wanted to go to Antarctica and everyone is warning you against it because it's too cold, too dangerous, or whatever the case may be, but yet you've done the research, you're probably going to go. More life experience means that you can meet a greater cross-section of people than you would have in the past simply because your reach is much bigger. And even if they don't agree with it, it gives you the opportunity because you have the experience to enjoy things that you might not have enjoyed before, people that you might not have enjoyed before. You can now embrace mistakes because you know what? Mistakes are part of life. And rather than trying to avoid them altogether and getting it wrong most of the time anyway, when you do make the mistake, laugh and say, you know what? I learned something here and move on. Not caring about what others think means that you can focus on happiness as well, doing the things that make you happy. Now, I don't know how many of you remember the movie 8 is Enough from 1999, but there's a scene, in fact, there are a lot of scenes in there where Steve Martin, who's the father of these 8 children, gets caught in various awkward positions as the father of these 8 children, and the kids are a little weirded out by it. And yet he was happy. He was doing the things that made him happy. And as an audience participant, you would look at that and kind of think, well, it's funny. I can see why the kids might not like it, but he's not really doing anything wrong. And he's happy. This also means you can prioritize your own needs because, let's be honest, for the last 30, 40 years, you've been putting everybody else beside you ahead of you. And in the process, they've gotten what they need and maybe you didn't. And so now not caring about their opinion or not caring about the broader opinion in many circumstances is entirely appropriate if you're prioritizing your own needs. It reduces stress because you're not making the decision of whether you should or you shouldn't based on what other people might think. And finally, you're free to pursue your passions without really worrying about what others may say because they're your passions. Next, you don't need any external validation because frankly, you've done what you said you were going to do. Things that people only talk about today, you've actually experienced, and because you've experienced them, because you've delivered, then your validation is yourself, really. By having less concern over other people's opinions, your stress level goes way down. And let's be honest, you've had a lifetime of stress to get to the point where you're retired, so you deserve for your stress level to go down. And of course, you embrace individuality at a time in your life where you don't actually have to be somebody that you weren't in order to get to where you need to go. And you see this, it's classic in business where you take the Midwestern person, Midwestern boy, I was going to say Midwestern person, and they go into the world and they become somebody different. And it's only when they reach retirement, they start to revert back to the person that they were before they retired. And for many people, it's a really nice transformation. Your relationships can be better because you foster real relationships rather than trying to impress those that make a difference in your life one way or the other, but aren't necessarily the people that you choose to spend your time with. Your confidence goes up. Retirement is a time where you unapologetically pursue things that make you more confident and avoid things that make you less confident, and that's okay. The next point is not caring about other people's opinions allows you to maximize your enjoyment on things that, frankly, you would not have engaged in. Now, I jokingly use the point that I'm a coin collector. Now, some people think it's geeky, but other people think it's not. But it's not what you lead with in a business conversation when you're closing a high-profile deal, let's say. But in your personal life, when you don't care about the opinions of the people that really aren't appropriate for your station in life, it's entirely appropriate to talk about your coin collecting hobby, to hang out with other coin collectors, and to enjoy the art and science of the coin. And in retirement, oftentimes you're free from expectations from things like work, from your social obligations, from your family in certain circumstances, and you can be who you authentically are. There's no pressure to meet social standards, for example, and you have the ability really to encourage your own personal choice in many matters that are important to you, but might not necessarily be someone else's business, to be frank. You're allowed to take unconventional paths because the blowback is just not what it used to be. And some of these unconventional paths will make you happy, even if they would not have made you happy 5 years earlier because of the things that would have happened around you. You have increased emotional independence. You need to rely less on what other people's opinions are of you and more on what you feel is the right outcome for you. You can simplify your life decisions because a lot of those decisions were based on who you needed to be to impress or to at least validate in order to move forward in life. But in retirement, you don't have that anymore. Finally, not caring about the opinions of others in many circumstances will help you foster personal growth and allow you to do the things that you need to do to move forward. If you like this video, please make sure you click subscribe and turn on notifications so that you get alerted the next time I post a video. I post several times a week. This is Jeff Schmidt. Thanks for watching.